so I can go. Excellent. So again, as Maritza mentioned, my name is Mariam Shayek. I'm the Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator at the Los Angeles County Office of Education. And for today, we're going to be focusing on a very important food benefit, which is the pandemic EBT, which you may have heard. I hope many of you have already received your pandemic EBT card, but we're going to be just talking about the pandemic EBT benefits, who qualifies, and how you can spend this important benefit to purchase more nutritious food for your family.
Hola, mi nombre es Mariam y estoy del Condado de Los Ángeles de la Oficina de Educación y de parte del Departamento de Nutrición y Bienestar. Vamos a hablar aquí acerca de la tarjeta P-EBT y cómo puede beneficiarle a su familia y a usted, qué beneficios puede recibir, y espero que han podido recibir ya su tarjeta de P-EBT. Si no lo ha hecho, de eso vamos a hablar hoy.
So just a quick check-in before we get started. I know some of you are out and about, but it's always good to for us to take a pause and just check in with ourselves and see how we're feeling. So if you can engage with us for a few minutes or seconds and just tell us, how are you feeling today?
Queremos asegurarnos que cómo se están sintiendo. Si pueden tomar un breve momento, pueden compartir cómo se sienten hoy.
You can use the chat, or you can come off mute and just say, I'm excited, or maybe I'm sad, or I feel kind of bored or tired.
Lo pueden decir en voz alta o lo pueden escribir en la cajita de chat. Estoy emocionada, cansada, frustrada, un poquito aburrida. Comparten en este momento si gusten.
I'm putting in the chat, I'm happy because I'm really happy that you all joined us this morning, and looking forward to talking more about food and nutrition with you over the next few minutes.
Yo voy a poner que estoy feliz porque estoy muy feliz de poder aquí estar para compartir con ustedes sobre la nutrición.
Muy bien. Gracias. Sorry, George, you're feeling frustrated. You keep those coming in the chat, but this is always a good activity. You can do this with your kids. You can do this before you sit down to eat, just to pause and just ground yourself and just check in to see how you're feeling. It's good to do this throughout the day and kind of gauge your social emotional health as you go through the day.
Les encomiendo que hagan esto con sus hijos y con antes de comer, antes de sentarse a comer o por el día, porque es un buen método de estar presente y tomar en cuenta sus sentimientos de uno mismo y los de los demás.
All right, thank you so much for those of you who participated. We're going to now move on to our discussion about pandemic EBT. I want to just provide a brief background so you kind of have an understanding of how this program, this important benefit came about. This was in a direct response to the coronavirus pandemic. The federal government recognized that food insecurity was going to be increased during the pandemic, and we did notice that many of our families and children did experience limited access to food when the schools were closed. And so this was an immediate response to address that need by issuing these benefits at the federal level to make sure that families in need had that direct support to be able to purchase more food.
¿Y cómo surgió la tarjeta de P-EBT? Esta fue una respuesta directa del nivel federal a la pandemia. Entonces, de parte del gobierno federal, respondieron a la falta de comida y la falta de alimentos para los estudiantes, porque por causa de la pandemia crearon este beneficio de la tarjeta P-EBT para ayudar a las familias a comprar más comida durante la pandemia.
Yes, thank you. So it's important that, this was a response to school closures, but it's important to note that the pandemic EBT benefits could be used even if your children are attending school now and they are receiving school meals. So that is not a barrier to accessing these benefits. So that's really important to note, because some parents were kind of hesitant, thinking that, oh, well, my child is in school now, they're getting school meals, maybe I can't use this benefit card anymore, but that's not the case. This is in addition to the school meals and other benefits that your child may be receiving.
Y ahora que los estudiantes ya están de nuevo en la escuela, no significa que no pueden usar una tarjeta de P-EBT. Esto es, ahora sirve como un apoyo adicional. Entonces, ya que aunque los estudiantes estén en la escuela y están recibiendo alimentos en la escuela, todavía se puede usar la tarjeta de P-EBT como apoyo adicional para recibir los alimentos para su estudiante.
Thank you. And it's important to note that these benefits are safe for you to use and for your family members to use. So by receiving this benefit card, it does not make you a public charge. It does not affect any immigration status. So I want to make sure that that is explicitly emphasized at the very beginning, that this is a very safe program and benefits for you to use.
Quiero dejarles saber que este programa es para ustedes, para que usen. No les va a afectar en su carga pública. Es muy seguro. Es para usted. Tengan toda la seguridad de que este P-EBT es seguro en usar y no le va a afectar en la carga pública. No le va a afectar en su estatus inmigratorio.
Thank you. And just to highlight, the reason that this program was expedited is because, you know, everyone recognizes the benefits of food and nutrition security. And what that means is that food and nutrition security exists when, you know, you have your physical, social, and economic access to nutritious food. It's not just having access to food, but making sure that we have access to healthy food that is nourishing and it supports, you know, the growth and development of your child. And proper nutrition provides so many benefits that goes beyond just physical health and really supports the mental, social, and emotional health of your children as well.
Y este beneficio se hizo rápido cuando ocurrió la pandemia porque el gobierno y el Departamento de Nutrición sabe que qué importante es la nutrición y los alimentos. No solamente alimentos de cualquiera, alimentos nutritivos y que son de beneficio para el crecimiento emocional, social y físico de los alumnos, de los niños, de los estudiantes. Es un incremento en la salud y bienestar mental, social y emocional también.
Thank you. And there's a few other benefits that are listed, but we know children who are properly nourished and really access, you know, really take advantage of the school meal program and other nutrition benefit programs that are available to them can really excel academically in school because, you know, you're reducing a lot of the behavior issues that come from hunger and food insecurity. It decreases anxiety, it improves their attention span, and we know higher test scores are correlated with good nutrition.
Y vemos que la nutrición y los alimentos nutritivos son muy beneficiosos, además en que ellos estén concentrados, en su retención académica, en su mejoramiento académico también, en su sentido emocional y su asistencia y minimiza la posibilidad de enfermedades crónicas.
Thank you, Maritza. So now let's talk about who is eligible for pandemic EBT. Just by show of hands, or maybe you can raise your hand or maybe put a yes in the chat. Have you already received a pandemic EBT card for the child who lives in your home?
Pueden alzar la mano o mencionar en la cajita de chat si ya recibieron la tarjeta de P-EBT para el estudiante o niño que viva en su casa.
I would love to know if majority of you who are on this call, or, you know, if you feel comfortable to share, let us know if you have received a pandemic EBT card already.
Me gustaría saber averiguar de cuántos de aquí han recibido esa tarjeta.
There are two categories of children who are eligible for these benefits. And one is the children who are under age of 6, and they had to be living in a household that was receiving CalFresh food benefits. That's the other federal nutrition assistance program that is available during non-emergencies, right? And, you know, emergencies too, you can apply for that. But pandemic EBT, again, was specific during the national emergency that was declared. But children under 6 who were receiving the regular CalFresh food benefits, they also were determined eligible to receive the pandemic EBT during the coronavirus pandemic.
Los niños de menos de 6 años de edad que son parte de una casa que están recibiendo los beneficios de CalFresh, ellos estaban recibiendo también la tarjeta de P-EBT. Entonces, ese fue uno de los que son elegibles, los menores de 6 años que viven en una casa que están recibiendo beneficios de CalFresh.
And the other group of children were the ones that are enrolled in our transitional kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So if they were enrolled at a school that participated in the federal school breakfast program or the national school lunch program, which is majority of our school districts in LA County. And if they were determined to be eligible to receive free and reduced price meals, they would have received a pandemic EBT card.
Y los otros grupos de estudiantes que fueron elegibles para la tarjeta de P-EBT son los que están inscritos en la escuela, desde pre-kinder hasta el grado 12. Y ellos estaban recibiendo alimentos en las escuelas por medio del Programa Nacional de Alimentos Escolares. Y ellos estaban recibiendo también alimentos reducidos en precio en las escuelas y estaban asistiendo a la escuela, sea en persona, en presencia o a distancia o en casa durante el año escolar del 2020 al 2021.
Yes, so that was, so by attending a school, whether it was distance learning or if they were in hybrid instruction, that determined the benefit amounts. But what's different about pandemic EBT versus the regular CalFresh food benefit program is that no family had to apply for pandemic EBT. There was no application and cards were automatically issued to children based on their eligibility for the free and reduced price meal program. So I just want to note that that is the difference between the pandemic EBT and the CalFresh program.
Y nomás quiero recalcar que la diferencia entre la tarjeta de P-EBT a la tarjeta de CalFresh es que nadie que recibió la tarjeta de P-EBT tuvo que inscribir o enlistar o apuntarse para recibir la tarjeta P-EBT. Es diferente porque fue una respuesta que dio el gobierno federal para recibir esa tarjeta de P-EBT. Entonces, de nuevo, para recibir la tarjeta P-EBT no tuvo que enlistarse, inscribirse o apuntarse, sino fue automático para los que están elegibles inscritos en la escuela.
Marissa, shall we pause to see if there are any questions?
Vamos a pausar a ver si hay algunas preguntas hasta este punto. Pueden alzar la mano o abrir su micrófono.
If not, please feel free to use the chat, or if you have any questions, just raise your hand.
Buenos días.
Bueno,
Yo sí tengo una pregunta.
Yes, I have a question.
En mi caso recibí la primera tarjeta, pero la segunda tarjeta se la mandaron a la casa del papá de los niños. Nosotros estamos separados. Nunca me la dio y de una vez que mi niña lo fue a visitar, ella le vio la tarjeta y pues le llamó la atención porque estaba a nombre de ella. Ella las agarró y dijo, papi, dice, ¿por qué tienes estas? Dice, oh, pues no se las dio a tu mamá. Entonces ella las trajo a la casa, pero cuando yo llamé, ya la cantidad de dinero que nos habían mandado se había. Entonces yo quería ver.
¿Se había agotado, perdón?
Sí, o sea que dijo el muchacho que ya esa cantidad no se podía usar porque tenía una fecha de vencimiento. Entonces,
Okay.
perdón. Entonces ahora quiero ver qué posibilidad hay de que me la manden pues a donde vivo directamente, porque la verdad yo salí positiva y tengo ya 2 semanas de no estar yendo a trabajar y pues ahora la cuarentena pues no la están pagando.
Okay.
Muchas
Gracias por su pregunta. So the question was for everyone else and for Miriam. My child received the P-EBT card, but because I am separated from the father, the card went to his address instead. For the second card. I received the first card, he received the second card. He never gave it to me. And when my daughter saw the card, because it was under her name, she took it. And when I called to see how much money was left on the card, the person told me that it had expired, the amount of money has expired, and that there was no way to obtain the money again. What can I do? So we didn't use the funds. So is there something we can do?
Definitely, you can call the helpline. I have the number on a slide towards the end of the presentation. But if you are referring to the second card that was issued, families have up to a year to use those benefits without it expiring. So that benefit card should still be good if you were able to, retrieve it. But the helpline can possibly issue a different card if, it didn't go directly to the child that was intended for. So we'll share the helpline information, but the benefit card is good for up to a year from the issuance date. So if it was a second card, the benefit should still be good to use.
Entonces, en un compósito, una pantalla más después, vamos a compartir una línea de apoyo para hacer esa misma pregunta que tuvo, para hablar, para asegurarse uno de que envíen la tarjeta a su casa, donde está residiendo el estudiante. Y también si fue sobre la segunda tarjeta que no recibió en su casa, tiene una fecha límite de 1 año que se puede usar esa tarjeta y los fondos de esa tarjeta. Entonces, vamos a compartir el número en una pantalla después para que pueda llamar y averiguar esa situación para que cambien a su residencia y que le envíen o renoven esa tarjeta porque no fue enviado a su casa.
Muchas gracias.
Uh-huh. Marta Cortés.
Sí, buenos días. Sí, mira, te iba a comentar sobre eso de las tarjetas, como está diciendo la señora. La información que yo tengo es de que la primera tarjeta sí se vencía el saldo si no lo usaba a cierto tiempo. Creo que estamos hablando creo que 2 periodos de un mes o 2. Pero la tarjeta P, ya la que es P-EBT, esa sí tiene hasta 1 año.
So what I wanted to comment was that the first card that we received, it did have an expiration date. But the second card that did show it was P-EBT, that one showed that it had up to a year of expiration date.
But each card that is issued was given the family up to a year to spend the benefit amounts.
Each card?
Each card that you had received. So the first card that was issued, families had up to a year to use the card. Okay, and the same applies to the second round of P-EBT benefits that was on the P-EBT 2.0 card.
Entonces, cada tarjeta, la primera tuvo hasta 1 año para usarse y también la segunda tuvo hasta un año de límite hasta que se expiraban.
Yes, and I think the helpline information that I'll share with you will be really important. And if you need an advocate or any additional support to call the helpline, I'm sure Maritza and our team can help as well. And I noticed that, does that answer the question?
Sí, el número de apoyo que vamos a compartir en breve sí va a ser de un buen número para llamar y averiguar. Y me aseguro que Maritza o nuestro equipo aquí en la oficina de Nutrición en el condado de Los Ángeles pueden también hacer como un apoyo para ayudar a llamar y averiguar esa información. ¿Sí contestó la pregunta?
Feel free to let us know if you need more information.
Sí.
Sí, okay, yes, I did. Y déjanos saber si necesita más información. There's a question in the chat.
Yes,
Miriam?
I see the question from George that you noted that your son did not get a card. And how would you know if the card was sent to him? The question would be if there were any address changes during the time that your son was enrolled in school. That's really important to note because the way the state identifies the eligible student is by pulling the information from the CalPAT system. This is the student information database, and that needs to be updated on a regular basis. So if there were any address changes, then perhaps, they could have missed the student. But you can definitely call the helpline and get verification whether your child received the card. They have in their database, they can check the students who received the card. So I encourage you to follow up after this call to find out if that was the case. But if for any of you, at any point, if your child ends up moving or changes addresses, it's really important that you notify the school immediately because in addition to pandemic EBT benefits, it affects other programs that they could qualify for. So it's really important to make sure that information is up to date.
Entonces la pregunta fue que mi hijo no recibió una tarjeta. ¿Cómo voy a saber si él recibió la tarjeta o se le envió la tarjeta? Él califica y él recibe alimentos en la escuela y también en el aprendizaje a distancia. La respuesta es, tiene que averiguar si se mudaron o cambiaron de dirección de casa durante el periodo de la pandemia, que si no se actualizó en la escuela esa dirección de casa, entonces la tarjeta tal vez se envió a la dirección donde vivían, donde tenía registrado el estudiante. Entonces es muy importante de actualizar siempre cuando se mudan o cambian de local o están en otro lugar, que actualicen la dirección de donde vive el estudiante con la escuela de inmediato. Así no se pierde de los beneficios y siempre está elegible o se mantiene elegible para los beneficios y recibir la información actualmente. Y vamos a compartir de nuevo después el número de teléfono de apoyo a dónde llamar.
And if I could add, Maritza, that, it's really important that every year at the start of the school year that you make sure that you're also completing a school meal application. As one of the criteria that determines eligibility for pandemic EBT is that they need to be identified as being eligible for the free and reduced price meal program. So even if a child participated in the program last year, and for some reason, the updated application has not been submitted this year, that will also be, very helpful in determining their eligibility for this benefit.
Y es muy importante recalcar que al principio del año escolar que rellenen esa forma de alimentos, de nutrición, de lonche gratis. En la escuela siempre manda una hoja que rellenen acerca de cuánto ganan en la casa, cuánto ganan mensualmente o anualmente, y eso es para asegurarse de que los que están inscritos en los lonches gratis o reducidos en la escuela estén recibiendo los beneficios como de la pandemic EBT. Tenemos una pregunta from Elizabeth. Elizabeth's iPhone, we have a question.
Yeah, I just have a question. We received both, and then towards the end of December we got like a reloading on the second one. My question is, since it's a pandemic card, and obviously we're still in a pandemic, will we still continue to get a reload on the card, or that was our last, or like the last of it?
That's a great question. So all of the benefits have been issued and the reloads have been issued as well. Recently, the Congress authorized, pandemic EBT 3.0. So that is pending the state plan to be developed and submitted. So there are additional funds that are expected, and they're determining exactly the benefit amount and how those will be distributed. So that you're absolutely right that all the benefits that were issued and reloaded have been completed by now, but the state is developing a pandemic EBT 3.0 plan that still has to be submitted to the USDA, that's at the federal level, for review and approval, and then that will determine, you know, which child will be eligible to receive it and what the benefit amounts will be.
And so should we just keep the card just in case, or would it be a new card?
No, that will be for pandemic 2.0. So if you've already used your benefits, we do not anticipate any additional reloads on those cards because that has been completed, but just hold on to the card anyhow. You know, I think the way that they're going to be determining the benefits for the next round of P-EBT as part of the 3.0 will be different, but still hold on to your card.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Y la pregunta fue al español, si eso, la primera tarjeta y la segunda tarjeta fue todas las tarjetas y ya enviaron la segunda ronda, si es todo lo que vamos a recibir de los fondos de P-EBT. Y la respuesta es que todas las tarjetas ya se enviaron, ya se envió los fondos. Entonces, eso ya está decidido que ya se cumplió la primera y la segunda ronda con los fondos adicionales que iban a poner. Entonces, pero pueden mantener su tarjeta, la segunda tarjeta, pueden quedarse con ella y guardarla. No se espera que pongan fondos adicionales en esas tarjetas, pero uno nunca sabe, ¿verdad? Entonces guardan la tarjeta, ya está usada, ya se dio todos los fondos que se iban a dar, pero ahorita están en plática el gobierno federal y están en plática para averiguar si van a poder hacer una tercera ronda de tarjetas de P-EBT. No se ha confirmado, no se ha decidido quién va a ser elegible o cuántos van a ser la cantidad de beneficios, ni se ha aprobado, pero es algo que está en pláticas para ver si van a enviar una tercera ronda de tarjeta P-EBT. No está aprobado y no se ha confirmado, pero está en las pláticas con el gobierno federal. Miriam, I forgot to mention, for those that are listening by phone, if you had a question, I'm so sorry, you would hit the star or the asterisk and then the number 6. Para los que están escuchando por teléfono y tenían una pregunta, se oprime el botón que es como una estrellita y luego el número 6.
Thank you. So we'll wait to see if you have any questions. Just, you know, come off mute and ask your question, but we'll just review the benefit amounts that you should have received. So Maritza mentioned that, you know, the benefit amounts were determined based on whether your child received distance learning or hybrid learning. This is for the previous school year. Remember, these are retroactive benefits that you're receiving this year. Okay, so that was determined based on the mode of instruction that your child received during last year, the previous school year. And so this was determined again by a survey that your school district completed informing the state about the mode of instruction. So we know parents have received, you know, benefit cards in different amounts. And this is really important for you to know that if your child was in receiving distance learning, 100% virtual learning last year, they would have been eligible to receive up to $123 a month. So that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money that adds up that you would be getting in the form of this pandemic EBT 2.0 card. And if they were hybrid learning, if they returned to school for a portion of time, and that was probably later in the school year, during the 2021 school year, then their benefit amount would have been reduced by half. So I just want to make sure that Maritza communicates that information to you because the benefit amounts are all different depending on this mode of instruction.
Entonces, algo que queremos recalcar es que la cantidad de beneficios, o sea, la cantidad de dinero que está en la tarjeta que recibieron es diferente dependiendo en el modo de aprendizaje que estuvieron los estudiantes el año pasado. La segunda tarjeta de P-EBT recalca o muestra la cantidad del año anterior. Estas tarjetas son retroactivas, que significa que no es actual en este año corriente, sino del año anterior, es los fondos y beneficios que están recibiendo. Entonces, los estudiantes que reciben sus beneficios que están en la escuela, reciben la cantidad basado en cómo fue reportado por medio del distrito el modo de aprendizaje escolar. Entonces, el año pasado, los estudiantes estaban a distancia, 100% a distancia en casa haciendo su escuela. Entonces, la cantidad de beneficios para los estudiantes que estaban a distancia es de $123. Y como por ejemplo, este año están en persona o por un breve parte del tiempo durante el verano estaban haciendo híbrido, estaban en casa haciendo su aprendizaje y luego tenían la opción de ir físicamente a la escuela. Entonces, para los que hicieron de los dos, estaban en casa y iban a la escuela, la cantidad era menos de $68 al mes. Entonces, nomás queremos recalcar que la cantidad de fondos que recibieron en su tarjeta P-EBT2 es diferente para cada persona, cada estudiante, porque depende de cómo hicieron el aprendizaje.
Thank you. So in addition to that monthly benefit that was issued to you in your first pandemic EBT card, that same card was used to reload benefits for the summer months. So every eligible child received a standard benefit amount of $375 that was reloaded onto the card that was already issued to you. So again, the importance of, holding on to the card and not throwing it away because the additional benefits were added. So those reloads were already issued by the end of December. So that's why the final, benefits were all issued and reloaded onto the first pandemic EBT 2.0 card that you have received. So I just want to check to make sure that all of you who received your first card held on to it and we're checking your benefit amount to make sure those additional benefits were reloaded. And if that's not the case, we really want you to reach out to the helpline and make sure that you get those benefits that you deserve.
Entonces también queremos dejarles saber que durante el verano, en adicional a la cantidad de beneficios que recibió por mes durante el año escolar, en el verano se agregó a todos un recargo para el verano de $375. Y eso fue un estándar para todos. Se agregó esa cantidad de $365 durante el verano en la tarjeta que ya tenía. Entonces, por eso es muy importante que se guardara esa tarjeta que ya tenían del año escolar. Esos beneficios se recargaron en las tarjetas, la segunda tarjeta que recibió ya para el año escolar y se recargó en diciembre que se dio en diciembre del 2021.
So if you have multiple children living in the same household, and if one was at an elementary school and the other one is at high school, that maybe came back to school to receive hybrid instruction, that's why those two children would receive different benefit amounts. So that explains why there would be different benefits issued to children who live in the same household, because I know that could be very confusing for parents.
Can you repeat that again, Mariam?
So the benefit amount, again, it's determined based on the mode of instruction. So the amount of benefits could change over time based on when their schools reopen for hybrid learning. So if I have an older child that was allowed to return to campus to receive hybrid instruction, the benefit amount for that child will be different than a younger child that I may have had in elementary school that was 100% remote the entire year.
Y nomás para recalcar otra vez también, la cantidad de dinero que están en las tarjetas, si tiene 2 estudiantes en casa, tal vez uno está en la primaria y el otro en la secundaria, y el de la primaria todavía se tiene que quedar en casa y hacer el aprendizaje a distancia 100%, no puede regresar a la escuela. Y el estudiante que está en la secundaria sí llega a regresar a la escuela, que ya no tiene que estar en casa y ahora puede ir físicamente a hacer su aprendizaje escolar en persona. Recuerden que esas cantidades que reciben en cada tarjeta será diferente, porque la cantidad de dinero por cada estudiante es diferente basado en el modo en que hace su aprendizaje escolar.
And let's say if you did not participate in the meal program before, but you decided towards the end of, because you found out that many students in my child's school are receiving these pandemic EBT cards, and you may have decided to submit a meal application towards the end of last school year. Well, they would have still been eligible to receive the benefits for the summer months that were issued. So it's really important. This is why I want to emphasize that if you haven't already submitted a meal application, that's really important to do every year, the school meal application.
Para las familias que no entregaron esa aplicación de alimentos escolares, pueden hacer elegibles para el verano. Entonces, si no rellenaron esa forma de aplicación que muestra los ingresos mensuales, entonces puede llegar a ser elegible durante los beneficios que se dan en el verano. There was a question, Mariam. I don't know if you know the answer. I think I do. How do I know if I filled out that application at my school?
The school meal application?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so usually the school meal application are distributed. There's many schools offer online application that can be completed, but you can definitely call your child's school or the district nutrition services department to get verification that the application that you submitted was received and filed.
Si uno no está seguro si llenó la aplicación de lonche, puede llamar a la escuela, pero usualmente sugieren que llamen a la oficina del distrito y allí hable con el departamento de nutrición.
If you have someone waiting.
Yes, I got it.
And
Thank you.
is it okay to move on to the next slide?
¿Sí podemos continuar? Okay.
Okay, so this is the schedule. So the good news is that the third and the final round of all the pandemic EBT 2.0 cards have been issued. So they're on the state website, the CDSS website. I'm going to put the link in the chat. You can actually check to see what your benefit amounts may be. So I think that is a feature that they're offering on the website that you can check. So the pandemic EBT cards for all the school-age children, they were automatically mailed all the way through November, and the reloads took place in December. So by now, all of the cards and all the reloads should have been issued already. So if for any reason, if you do have a child that is eligible for the free and reduced price meal and you still feel that they haven't received their benefit card, this is why it's going to be really important for you to reach out to the helpline and find out what the status is or what may be the issue.
Entonces, los beneficios ya se han enviado. Este es el horario que tienen para los beneficios que ya se enviaron. Todas las tarjetas de P-EBT 2 ya se han enviado. Las tarjetas de P-EBT 2 para los estudiantes en la escuela fueron enviados automáticamente entre agosto de 2021 hasta noviembre de 2021. Y las recargas, las cantidades de recargas ya se enviaron ya para diciembre de 2021. Entonces, a este punto, todos los que son elegibles para recibir esta tarjeta, estudiantes que rellenaron la forma de lonche, o si son menos de 6 años de edad y tienen CalFresh, recibieron esas tarjetas de beneficio para el año escolar.
Yes, so if you want to have an idea about how much benefits your child should have received, you can see that for the entire school year, based on the retroactive benefits that was calculated, that would have covered the months of August all the way through August of 2021. So that was the summer benefit amount that was issued in the form of a reload. And then there were monthly benefits from August all the way through May that were issued on the pandemic EBT 2.0 card. So for every month that they were in school last year, they would have received benefits in that amount that we talked about, whether it was $123 or the $68, whether they were virtual or hybrid.
Entonces, todas las cantidades de beneficios que recibieron los estudiantes fue para cubrir el año escolar del año pasado. Entonces, de agosto 2020 hasta enero 2021. La misma tarjeta fue recargada con esos beneficios por los meses de febrero 2021 hasta mayo 2021. Y eso se recargó en el mes de noviembre 2021. Y los beneficios se recargaron para los meses de junio hasta agosto del 2021 en diciembre de 2021. Entonces, todos los fondos ya se han enviado. Y algo que se me olvidó mencionar, si uno quiere averiguar cuántos fondos tienen en su tarjeta o cuántos fueron los que recibieron, Marianne va a incluir un enlace a un sitio web donde puede averiguar acerca de su tarjeta de los fondos.
Any questions?
Yes, there is a question. Disculpa, yo no recibí la tarjeta, hablé y me dijeron que hablará otra vez, pero en enero. Y me dijeron que no tenía ningún registro de mi hijo para la primera tarjeta y sí la recibí. I did not receive the card and I called them and they told me to call again, but in January. And they also told me that there was no registration of my child receiving the card, but he did receive the first card.
Interesting. Were there any changes in the school?
¿Hubo algún cambio, señora Carla, en la escuela del estudiante?
So since the state mentioned, based on their advice, to call back in January, I really encourage you to follow up with them. And also, you know, you may want to check with the school just to make sure the school meal application is on file as well. To make sure that there are no glitches in the system, in our reporting system, to making sure that, you know, your students' information is uploaded into the CalPads, and that's the data that the state uses to pull to identify eligible students.
Entonces, encomio que llame de nuevo, como se dijo que llamara en enero, que llame a la oficina de beneficios de P-EBT y hablen con ellos. Y también que llame a la escuela o, por decirlo así, al distrito escolar para asegurarse que ellos recibieron la hoja de alimentos, la forma que se llena para recibir alimentos gratis en la escuela, para asegurarse que no hubo algo que faltó y que esa información esté en su sistema.
And just note that, you know, because these benefits are automatically issued, unfortunately, many people are aware that families are expected to receive these benefits. That is a significant amount of money, right? And so sometimes the cards may be stolen too or lost. So that's why it's, you know, if you feel that your card may have been stolen, you can also call the helpline and request a new card if your child is determined to be eligible. So I want to note that that is a possibility too, because some parents have reported their cards lost or stolen, and they can be issued another card.
Y también asegúrense de que es probable, porque muchos saben hay personas que saben que las familias tienen hijos en las escuelas y que van a recibir estos fondos y es una cantidad de dinero alto. Entonces, a veces llegan a robarse las tarjetas de sus buzones. Entonces, también pueden reportar si una tarjeta nunca llegó a usted y la esperaba. Y pueden reportarla como algo que fue robado con la oficina de beneficios de P-EBT. There was a comment in the chat.
Yes, and so I recommend, George, that please call the helpline just because, with the first round of EBT, I think they settled all the claims or any questions related to those first issuance, but there might still be a possibility. I don't want to say no, but definitely call the hotline and inquire about the first card for your son.
Y si recibió la segunda tarjeta, pero no recibió la primera tarjeta, yo creo que ya pasó el tiempo para reclamarla como robado, pero no duele en llamar la línea para averiguar un poquito más acerca de eso y a ver si hay algo que se puede hacer sobre la primera tarjeta que no recibieron.
Okay, so I think I'm going to move on to the next slide if that's okay. And so this brings us to the fun part. Now, when you have your card, now what do you do with it? And you go shopping. So we want everyone to spend down all the benefits that they have received. And the P-EBT card is, can be used like a credit card, or if some of you have experience using the CalFresh food benefit card, it can be used in a similar manner. And you can buy food in almost any grocery store and even farmers markets that receive, accept EBT cards. And some retailers such as Amazon and Walmart too have allowed for the online shopping using those pandemic EBT cards to make it even easier for you to purchase healthy food.
¿Y cómo se usa esa tarjeta de P-EBT? ¿Cómo se usan los beneficios? Se usa igualmente como se usaría la tarjeta de CalFresh si es que la tiene. Las familias pueden comprar comida en la mayoría de las tiendas de comida, en las marquetas de aire libre, y también pueden usar su tarjeta de P-EBT para hacer compras en línea como por el sitio de Amazon o Walmart, y es un método para comprar los alimentos para su familia.
Just a note, just similar to CalFresh, I know some of the fast food restaurants or some restaurants may have a sign that says, we accept EBT cards, right? So similar to CalFresh benefit card, just like CalFresh, foods that are served hot or already prepared, like takeout or buffet, they're not covered. Okay, so you cannot use your pandemic EBT benefits at restaurants. They're really intended for you to use them in grocery stores and farmers market, where you can purchase ingredients that you can prepare at home.
Y no caigan en la trampa de que a veces en los restaurantes como Jack in the Box o McDonald's digan aceptamos tarjeta EBT. No se puede comprar con la tarjeta P-EBT alimentos ya preparados. No se puede comprar alimentos calientes ya hechos como en esos restaurantes. La intención es que solamente se puede usar la tarjeta P-EBT para comprar alimentos nutritivos que se compran en las marquetas o en las marquetas al aire libre para poder prepararlas en casa.
Yeah, and just remember again that you need to use your benefits at least 1 year from the date that it was issued. So we want all of those benefits to be spent down again. It's really important to make sure that you put it to good use before those cards expire. And you do have a year again from the time that it's issued to spend the funds.
Y tienen hasta 1 año desde que se recibió la tarjeta o desde que se envió la tarjeta para poder usar esos fondos. Y queremos que usen esos fondos porque fueron, ese es dinero que fue proveído para ustedes.
And before you can use your card, remember you have to set up the PIN. So if you do need any assistance, I'm sure the community schools team can help, but the helpline, that's what it's there for. So they can walk you step by step in setting up your PIN if you haven't already done that, or if you need any help, make sure you reach out and request the help.
Y también puede averiguar conmigo, voy a averiguar, o hacer la llamada al departamento de P-EBT acerca de crear un número PIN como un número de acceso para poder acceder a esos fondos.
Great. And I just want to make sure you have this important information with you because I know there's some other questions and some of you have to follow up with the state just to check the status of your benefit cards that you were supposed to receive. This is the helpline number that has been set up just to specifically address pandemic EBT related question and assistance. So you can call this helpline number. I will copy and paste that in the chat so you have it. And I believe Maritza, they will receive a copy of these slides as well. And
Sí, vamos a enviarle una copia de esta presentación también y quiero proveerle, este es el número de teléfono que tiene que llamar para cualquier pregunta que tiene acerca de sus beneficios de P-EBT. Vamos a incluirlo en el chat y lo voy a decir en voz alta, 877-328-9677. 877-328-9677, lunes a viernes de 6 a 8.
great. And there's also a website too that has a lot of information and you can actually put in your email address and receive updates too if you're interested. So I wanted to make sure to include that for you as well. And I know we're almost out of time, but I just wanted to highlight. Oh, I'm sorry, Maritza, did you want to share the website?
Y también vamos a incluir y compartir el sitio web donde puede entrar para averiguar acerca de su tarjeta y puede poner su correo electrónico para tener actualizaciones también de este departamento.
Yes, information in multiple languages beyond English and Spanish. So definitely check that out. And just, you know, there are other programs available to you to make sure that we keep the optimal health of your students, you know, while they're at school. There's a school meal program. So I really encourage you that in addition to other benefit programs that you may qualify for, to make sure that your children are coming to school on time so they can access a breakfast and a lunch meal. And starting next school year, all students will be eating for free because we have the first California Universal Meal Program. So all of the children who are enrolled in our public schools will have access to a free breakfast and a nutritious lunch meal every day.
Y también queríamos compartir otros programas de asistencia de nutrición, como programas de alimentos escolares. Vamos a incluir esto en el chat y dejarles saber que para el año próximo, el año escolar próximo, todos los alimentos, desayuno y lonche van a ser gratis para todos los estudiantes bajo el programa de alimentos universal.
And if you haven't already done so, really encourage you to please, you know, consider applying for CalFresh. This is to ensure that you have access to food benefits beyond the pandemic. So if your family's in need and qualifies, you know, they've really simplified the application process. You can apply online and get verification over the phone. So there's a phone number and website link that you will have as well. And any other time, you can always dial 211 for additional food resources that are close to where you live. And the Regional Food Bank as well provides application assistance for CalFresh, and they can help you access local food pantries. Maybe you don't need it, but maybe you know other friends or family members who are in need of, you know, healthy, nutritious food, and they can go to the food banks that are available throughout Los Angeles County to receive donations of food.
Y les encomiamos que la tarjeta P-EBT no va a durar para siempre, entonces si puede y califica para CalFresh, que rellene esa aplicación para CalFresh para seguir recibiendo esos fondos para alimentos para su familia. Podemos llamar o hacer la aplicación en línea, lo han hecho más fácil, y también pueden llamar al 211 para averiguar acerca de recursos de alimentos o con el Banco de Comida de Los Ángeles. Ellos ayudan con la asistencia también para buscar un local de despensa de comida para ustedes o para familiares o para amigos que tal vez sepan que ocupen este apoyo adicional de alimentos gratis, y también ayudan a averiguar acerca del CalFresh.
Thank you, Maritza. And finally, now that you have these benefits and you're ready to go shopping and you've purchased the healthy food, I included some resources for you to access food and nutrition information, some healthy recipe suggestions, how you can ensure food safety and sanitation when you are preparing food at home, and also how to prepare and plan, do meal planning so you can really stretch your food dollars and make the foods that you're purchasing last much longer and add more creative ways of enjoying fruits and vegetables, not just for your children, but also for yourself as well.
También queremos compartir, vamos a enviarles estos enlaces de cómo preparar alimentos nutritivos y cómo planificar su día de compras, qué tipos de comida pueden comprar, cómo aumentar, cómo hacer las compras y al mismo tiempo guardar dinero o surtir el dinero, porque hay diferentes formas en cómo uno puede usar su dinero y no gastar mucho, ¿verdad? Y otros guías para ayudarle en preparar platos nutritivos y cómo saber qué es nutritivo y cuánta cantidad de servir en su plato.
And the information, the resources I've included here for you are available in Spanish too on these when you access these websites.
Y estos recursos también son disponibles en español.
And with that, I've included my contact information. So please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions or if you need any additional resources that I can assist you with. Feel free to contact me, but unfortunately, I may still need Maritza's help to with translation. I will do my best if you do reach out to me directly to answer your questions.
Y incluí también mi número de teléfono y número de contacto y voy a hacer lo mejor que pueda para responderle sus respuestas que tal vez tengan o tal vez ocupe la ayuda de Maritza también para poder responder a sus preguntas. Y aquí tengo mi información, Shehi, una línea abajo, mariam@lacoe.edu y mi número de teléfono 562-922-6306.
And with that, thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope that you all continue to be safe and well. And please know that, we have an entire LACOE team here to support you and your children. Your success is our success. So we want to make sure that we support you in any possible way that we can. So don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything else that we can support you with.
Y no duden a llamar o a hablar con nosotros. Tenemos un equipo de LACOE, que es la Oficina de Educación de Los Ángeles, aquí disponibles y listos para ayudarles y a responder a sus preguntas. Muchas gracias. Si quieren recibir esta información por grabación o por la copia de esto, puse en el chat para que se enliste. Si no tengo su número de teléfono o si no tengo su correo electrónico, por favor, provéelo y así asegurarse que reciba esta información. If you haven't filled out the sign-in sheet that I just put in the chat, just to make sure that you get a copy of the recording and of the information slides, please do so. That way I make sure to send it to you directly. Thank you, Mariam.
Tengo una pregunta.
¿Una pregunta? Sí.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Mi pregunta es, si los niños que recibieron la P-EBT ahora y los que se van a graduar en junio, si dan para el verano y si la dan, por ejemplo, en julio o agosto, ¿la pueden usar aunque ya se hayan graduado de la high school?
For those students that are seniors right now and they're going to graduate soon, but they get the card, they have the card, and then the funds get reloaded for summer, are they still going to be able to use those funds, the summer funds?
So those summer funds were already issued for students who were enrolled in our schools through the previous school year, okay? So if your child graduates this year, and if they decide to authorize, additional benefits to be issued, the only criteria is they have to be enrolled in a public school. So if they graduate and, go on to college or, their career, they will no longer be eligible for P-EBT benefits that will be issued beyond this school year.
Entonces, los fondos que están recibiendo ahora son de los que estaban inscritos en la escuela del año anterior. Los fondos no son actuales de este año, sino del año anterior. Entonces, si ellos estuvieron en la escuela durante el verano del año anterior, entonces van a recibir fondos. Pero los fondos actuales, pero fondos para este verano, si se gradúa ese estudiante y pasa el verano, no, ¿cómo le digo? Esos fondos no se han aprobado para este año escolar, para este verano. Entonces todavía no se ha verificado si va a haber fondos adicionales, porque ya los fondos de la pandemia de P-EBT 2 ya se distribuyeron.
Sí, nada más mi pregunta era, en caso de que lo aprobaran otra vez y ellos ya se graduaron, si mandan la tarjeta, ¿se puede usar? Esa era mi pregunta.
Y los estudiantes tendrían, si es que si dan fondos de nuevo, el estudiante tiene que estar inscrito en una escuela pública que es entre kinder y grado 12, no en el colegio.
So any benefit that they have received already, they're eligible to use it. So if they have issued their card, it would have included the reload for those summer months that is for them to use.
The reload already includes a summer for this month?
So it's for the summer of previous school year. Remember, these are retroactive benefits. They have not decided on the summer benefits for, they're still, the state is developing a plan for this current school year for 21-22. We don't know the eligibility, how that may change because students have returned to school. Okay, so keep in mind the benefits they have received up to this point were because of the school closures that occurred last year, and that was for the previous school year. And the summer benefits that they received was from the 2021, right? It was through the summer months of 2021. Now, the upcoming summer, that will be different. We don't know yet.
And the student would have to be in K through 12 if it gets reloaded. If a third card comes, the student would have to be actively enrolled in K through 12 to receive the funds.
Yes, that will depend on the details that are outlined in the pandemic EBT 3.0 plan, which we don't have access to yet, but we wouldn't know yet.
Entonces, Enriqueta, para contestarle, los fondos que se están usando este año son del año pasado, y si es que sacan el pandemic 3.0, esos detalles acerca de quiénes van a poder usarlo no se han discutido. No hay una respuesta y no es algo que tenemos acceso a ver qué es el plan, si es que va a ocurrir.
Ya, ok. Bueno, entonces si ocurre, entonces llamar al número para ver qué antes de usarlo, ¿verdad?
Sí. Okay, thank you. So if it does happen, then I know what number to call in case to find out more. Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
yo tengo una pregunta.
Okay, Irma.
Sí, disculpa, nada más para estar segura. Desde que ofrecieron este beneficio, ¿cada estudiante que calificó ha recibido 2 tarjetas?
Just to be sure, since the pandemic EBT has started, every student has received up to 2 separate cards.
So that there could have received 3 cards. Okay, the one was a pandemic 1.0. Do you remember when that happened? When the first, school closures happened, remember? So there was a pandemic 1.0 card. And then we had supplemental benefits that were for the months of August and September that were issued in a second card, okay? And then we had the pandemic EBT 2.0 card. So then there would have been, if your child was in school and determined eligible during the pandemic, they could have received 3 separate cards. There was a pandemic EBT 1.0 card. There was the extended benefits that were issued just for a few months. And then there was a pandemic EBT 2.0 card. that was retroactive benefits for the previous school year. And that same pandemic EBT 2.0 card was used for the reloaded benefits that were issued. I think there were 2 additional reloads than they have received on that same pandemic EBT 2.0 card.
Entonces fueron 3 tarjetas. El primero fue la pandemic EBT 1, que es que dieron cuando comenzó todo, cuando cerraron todas las escuelas. El segundo fue una tarjeta suplementaria para los beneficios del verano que se dieron para julio-agosto. Y la tercera fue la pandemic EBT 2, que tiene los fondos del año pasado, del año escolar pasado que están usando ahorita. Y ese fue recargado 1 a 2 veces. Entonces, físicamente son 3 tarjetas.
I know that can get confusing, but remember during the first, as soon as the coronavirus pandemic, started was during the 1920 school year, right? So then when that school year completed, then the benefits, the first pandemic EBT card was issued several months later, right? And then if they were determined eligible for the summer months of 2020, they would have received an extended benefit card. Now, some may have received that card, some may not have. Again, depends on the eligibility. Now, all of your students who are in school and that were enrolled in school during the 2021 school year that has already passed, right? They would have received their retroactive benefits in the form of the pandemic EBT 2.0 card. That would have included a second and the third issuance or the reload, right, for the months based on that schedule that we talked about.
Entonces puede ser un poco confuso, pero nomás un recordatorio que la primera tarjeta se dio en el año escolar 2019-2020. And honestly, Mariam, I missed everything else you said.
Yeah, so it's really important to make sure that you have the pandemic EBT 2.0 card because that includes retroactive benefits for the 2020-2021 school year.
Entonces es muy importante que, en realidad es nomás muy importante que tengan la tarjeta 2.0, la segunda tarjeta, la última tarjeta que se dio de la pandemic EBT, porque eso tiene los fondos del año escolar 2020-2021.
I hope we didn't cause any additional confusion.
Espero que no confundimos más, es un poquito complejo. Y no recuerden, pueden llamar a la oficina de P-EBT 877-328-9677, lunes a viernes 6 a 8. You can call the P-EBT helpline at 877-328-9677, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And I included in the chat the link to the P-EBT state website that you can check to see if your child, was eligible to receive pandemic EBT 2.0 card. There's a survey that you complete that lets you know. And you can also check your balance too. So go on the website and explore the website a little bit more, but feel free to reach out again to the helpline and they can answer questions directly in English and Spanish as well.
Y también incluye un enlace para que pueda averiguar acerca de la tarjeta de beneficios que recibió y los fondos y esa línea de ayuda, de apoyo de P-EBT le va a ser de mucho beneficio. Rebecca Torres, I'm not sure if you had a question. Okay. So I know that was a lot of information. Yo sé que fue mucha información y que nos pasamos 13 minutos and that we went over 13 minutes. But I know that you guys had a lot of inquiry about this and that maybe you still do, but we will share this information with you again through the recording, through the links, the slides, and also very important to just call the P-EBT line to find out first. And then after you talk to them, then we can see what else can be done. Sé que esto fue mucha información y nos pasamos de mi tiempo, pero lo más importante es que llamen a la oficina de P-EBT y averigüen primero lo que puede hacer o lo que falta o la pregunta que tiene pendiente. Y si necesitan ayuda en llamar o tienen un poquito de pena o pueden venir a mí. Yo estoy en la oficina lunes a viernes. Hoy no estoy allí, pero lunes a viernes en la escuela de Azusa High School y podemos llamar juntos y averiguar qué hacer, ¿verdad? All right, and that's it. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that was here. And we'll be sending the recording out. And if you didn't sign up, or if I don't have your contact information because you're from another school, not from Azusa High School, let me know where I can send this information, okay? Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you, everyone. Muchas gracias. Buen día.